Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, let's talk about a new sponsor to the show this week. We have Roadie Sport. Founded by professional shot putter and 2012 Olympian Justin Roadie. Roadie Sport offers throws and personal training in Northeast Ohio. Roadie's handmade gear is used by all walks of athletes, from the grassroots individuals to the Olympic professionals on 6 continents. He wants you to know about his Jolly Big Throws Clinic. That's going to be December 21st, 2019, here at Youngstown State University, hosted by Roadie Sport. He's bringing in coaches and athletes from all over the country for a day of sharing knowledge and cutting-edge throwing practice, heralded as the ultimate meet, greet, learn by, do, and immersive throwing camp. Get an exclusive swag bag with early registration at roadiesport.com. That's RODHESPORT.com through October 31st. They also make the shot put glove. It was invented by Justin and used all over the world by some of the best shot putters and Highland Games athletes. I've seen this thing. It is pretty cool, especially for you guys throwing heavy stones and heavy shots. Protect those fingers. It's really good if you're getting a lot of volume in. I highly recommend it. I've seen him. I played with him. Really cool glove. Also, his leather lifting straps are sweet. We gave out a bunch at the Highlander this year. Really nice handmade. All his leather goods. He makes all sorts of leather goods, but his lifting straps are fantastic. For those of you who haven't used closed loop lifting straps, they're really easy to use, and I prefer them, and these leather ones are awesome. Use the code Savage Sport, all capital, all one word, Savage Sport, for 25% off products and lectures at roadiesport.com. Get on that new sponsor, motherfuckers, Viking Coffee Co. Viking Coffee, doing the best coffee in the area. I am currently drinking some as we speak. VikingCoffeeCo.com. Evan Armstrong, making the best coffee. You guys hear me talk about it every week. I am addicted to Viking Coffee. Everyone I have turned on to Viking Coffee is in love with it. You'll stop buying store-bought coffee, I'm telling you right now, and as you should, because it's garbage. VikingCoffeeCo.com. Use the code VikingCoffee10 at checkout for 10% off. The good people at Cerberus want you to know that they've got everything you need for your throwing journey, and you need to give them a holler. Indoor season is here. We are in the midst. You should be still throwing even when the weather gets shitty, and they can help you out with their indoor throwing bags. They're better than that other company's bags. I've seen them both. I like Cerberus's better. Just a matter of fact, they should be using them at the Arnold, in my opinion. But it's not for me to judge. Cerberus, they also have tacky, they have smelling salts, they have wraps and straps, they have knee sleeves and elbow sleeves and t-shirts and belts and everything you possibly need to get stronger this off-season. Cerberus-strength.us and use the code REFINEDSAVAGE10 at checkout for 10% off. Warrior CBD is the best stuff on the market, and one of the things they make is a CBD oil for your dog. Some of you have these crazy dogs. Personal experience, my mother and father have these 2 crazy dogs. So they've got a beagle who's afraid of fireworks. Flips out, and if you ever heard a beagle bark and howl, it's ridiculous. Their other dog is a golden. She's an absolute maniac. Freaks out whenever there's a thunderstorm. So any kind of noise outside, these 2 dogs are shitting their pants. They needed a way to calm these dogs down. The vet had prescribed all this medication that doped them up and everything. I got them some Warrior CBD for the pets. They give them to the dogs. Calms the dogs down without the drugged up appearance and harshness. Works like a charm. Now, I've heard people in this area trying to do the same thing. And I've talked to you before about the shit CBD that they sell in states like Ohio. You don't want to deal with that. It's not real stuff. It's not the real deal. Don't go to Giant Eagle and buy CBD oil or some gas station. Check out WarriorCBDofficial.com or check them out on Instagram at WarriorCBD and give Nancy a holler through the DMs. She will help you and let you know exactly what you need. Use the code WARRIOR20 off at checkout for 20% off. Serious Steel. Serious Steel is one of our longest running sponsors. I love these guys. Best customer service in the game. They have everything you need, whether you're trying to outfit a home gym, a commercial gym, whatever you need. They've got it plates and weights and barbells and kettlebells and straps and wraps and everything you could possibly need. I love these guys. Check them out. Support good people who support the show. These are the people that really give a shit about you guys, and it shows when you deal with them. So, SeriousSteel.com. Use the code SAVAGE at checkout for 10% off. Stay Classy Meats. Stay Classy Meats is the best. I just got word that another box is on its way. I can't wait. It is like Christmas morning whenever a box of Stay Classy Meats shows up. I have been on the carnivore diet since January, and this stuff is fueling me. Look, people talk about strength levels and endurance levels and all these things decreasing on a carnivore keto diet. Fuck that nonsense. Everything is up with me. I'm running fast, I'm running far, I'm lifting heavy, and it's all fueled by Stay Classy Meats. Going to jiu-jitsu class, choking motherfuckers out, and Stay Classy Meats is fueling all of that. I'm only choking out people who are not higher belts than me. All the higher belts than me still beat the shit out of me. But Stay Classy Meats. Use the code SAVAGE at checkout for 10% off. Small batch farms. These animals are taken care of. They're eating fresh Montana grass. They're drinking from fresh Montana streams. It makes a difference in the way the meat tastes. It makes a difference in the way you feel when you eat it. Check them out, StayClassyMeats.com. Finally today, Iron and Stone Strength. Good people out there, man. Iron and Stone Strength. They're getting ready to have a strongman competition in December. I believe it's called Feats of Strength. It's like a Festivus kind of deal. Check them out and check out that competition. Pack the house for those guys, man. Just outside of Buffalo, New York. Great people, great shows, great gear. Their gear is awesome. T-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, sweatpants, all with like nice looking logos on it. You won't be embarrassed to wear this shit out in public. That is important. You don't want to look like a goof when you're out in public and everyone asking you, oh, you lift weights? Because your shirt has some muscle fag on it. Did I say muscle fag? I probably shouldn't say that, but you guys know what I mean. Anyways, Iron and Stone Strength. Use the code REFINEDSAVAGE at checkout for 20% off. Today on the show, we have the one, the only Dante Leon. Dante is a world champion, world-class jiu-jitsu fighter. He is taking on some of the best people in the game. He's taken on all comers. He's out of Toledo, Ohio, via Ontario. And we went up to his gym, sat down with him. Gym was awesome, man. Spartan gym. It just built for choking and breaking arms, man. There's nothing fancy about it. Just the kind of place I love. Check this interview out. It was a great interview, great time. We got along really well, and I look forward to doing it with him again, and maybe learn a few moves from him. So check out the podcast. Share it with your friends. Dante Leon, what's happening?
Not much, man. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad we finally got to do this, and we're up here in Toledo. This is actually my kind of my old stomping grounds. I went to college here at University of Toledo.
Oh, so. Nice, man. Cool.
How long have you been here?
So I've been in Toledo for about 4 years now, originally from Canada. And, when I say I'm from Canada, a lot of people get freaked out, Don't know where I'm from. It's just like an hour away. Windsor, Ontario.
Windsor, right?
Yeah, that's where I'm from. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like we could almost throw a stone and hit America, you know what I mean? If you stood on down by the river, right across the creek is Detroit, and that's, the U.S. So I used to cross the border like all through my beginning of my jiu-jitsu career to train in Detroit all the time. So
right.
I was like in the States almost more than I was in Canada.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in Windsor. I spent a lot of time in that whole area between Windsor and Toronto,
right.
just competing across those, Fergus and Chatham and Georgetown, Uxbridge, all these little tiny towns would always have Highland games there. So I heard you were from that area. So I spent a lot of time up there, and it's great, man. You get like kind of that small town vibe all the way, but you are right next to Detroit.
For sure. So that's why the transition was, a lot of people in jiu-jitsu are from somewhere like, LA, New York, San Diego. These are kind of like the hotbeds, you know what I mean? And to hear about somebody being from Toledo or somewhere in Canada, they're kind of like, what was it like? Do you like being in Toledo? Do you like the city? And honestly, I love this city because I grew up just outside of Windsor. I grew up in a very small town. So most of my city experience was in Windsor. This is just a little bigger Windsor, to be honest with you. I mean, this relies on, it's a blue-collar town, it's a blue-collar city. There's 300 and some odd thousand people here, and there's just under 200,000 people in Windsor. So it's just a little bigger Windsor. And to me, I feel right at home.
It's about perfect, right? Toledo, when I went to school here, was I was staying in dorms with Carter East. Carter East backed right up against the projects.
Yeah.
So you're just
close.
getting,
You're close to the bad area.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Getting the action all the time and sirens and everything. So people were getting their cars broken into, but yeah, I mean we're not too far from the university. We went up here for a podcast a couple months ago, but so tell me about life in Canada growing up. Like, how did you do in school up there? What kind of sports are you doing up there?
Oh, so where I grew up is a town called Harrow, Ontario. Okay, always when I bring this up, it's always kind of like the same thing. Super small town, super small high school. Not really a whole lot of sports outside of like maybe volleyball, hockey. And by the time I was in high school, I was pretty well done with sports anyway, and just focusing on jiu-jitsu. I really only played majority of my sports up until grade school, until I kind of cut everything out. And
so you found jiu-jitsu real young.
Yeah, so I found jiu-jitsu when I was about 12 years old.
Wow.
And then after about a year of training jiu-jitsu, I made up my mind that I was going to stop, playing hockey or doing whatever else. I was only really playing hockey at that time.
Yeah.
But as a younger kid, I pretty much tried out all the sports that are normal, right? Soccer, baseball, hockey. We didn't really have football. It's Canada.
Yeah.
They're not too huge on football, especially in smaller towns. And another thing, I never really had wrestling.
I was going to ask you if you had any wrestling background.
Yeah, I never had any wrestling. So that's why everybody gets surprised by that, because, I have the appearance of a wrestler.
I assumed that from watching your videos that you had this huge wrestling
the
background.
Movement and everything like that. But wrestling, I focused on it and trained it a little bit because there's an MMA gym upstairs from where I did jiu-jitsu in Detroit. So, honestly, like the guys up there were not at my level or a lot of our levels with jiu-jitsu. So it's better to train with them no gi. And they're all like, slippery. And, those guys are, man. I don't know if they soak in Vaseline or what, some of them, man. But, then they'd be kind of like a tough role because you could never get a hold of them. So started to learn how to wrestle a little bit. So you take some people down and try and control people. So that's kind of where it started. But I only started to focus on my wrestling when I came here.
Yeah. That's wrestling no gi for me. I need handles.
Right?
I like having that handle. I was never as good at wrestling as I am at jiu-jitsu, and I think that's a lot of it. I can slow stuff down and hold people in place. What do you prefer?
Honestly, man, it depends on the time of year you ask me.
Yeah.
I love no gi. I've been having a lot of success. I think I've been getting noticed a lot more in no gi because these professional events are leaning more towards no gi.
Yeah, they are, right?
That's what it seems like, So that's why I've been getting more opportunity in no gi, and there's kind of more emphasis on that. But it depends on the time of year you ask me, honestly, man. Like sometimes I just don't want to be in the gi anymore, and then other times I'm going to be tired of no gi. I'm sure after ADCC or by the end of this year, after the last tournament would be no-gi worlds, like by December, I probably don't want to be wrestling around and doing no-gi for a little while. I might want to get back to my gi and focus on that.
What did you just, what did you just compete in? Was ADC, was that a qualifier or?
No, so the last thing I competed in was Substars. I was like the main event on a Substars show. In Florida. And then before that was Kasai.
Kasai, that's what I was thinking of, yeah. Were you down in Orlando for that one?
Yeah.
I was down there at the same time, but not in Orlando.
4th,
yeah. How did that go?
So I lost to Hanato Canuto. He was like the champ. It was a really close fight. Super, super close fight. And one that I think everybody wants to see happen again.
The things I've noticed about your few losses that I watched was they're against some really high level dudes. There's I watched your match with Wagner Rocha. And you guys went at it. It was an amazing match for sure.
For sure. Yeah, I don't really shy away from too many like fights or challenges. You know what I mean? I've won a lot more than I've lost, but I've lost, and I've lost to. Usually, I lose to the top 1 or 2 guy in the world if I do lose.
Right.
And it just comes a time, I know my time is coming. I don't really put a time limit on it. I think I'm there now, and I think I'm ready to, shock the world a little bit now.
How old are you?
24.
Oh shit, you got so much time
right?
too, man. You got so much time.
Yeah.
I watched your matches from was it the Bigfoot? What was it called?
Yeah,
Where was that at?
So that was in Tennessee, just outside of Nashville area.
Those were some amazing matches. And you know what? The thing about no-gi that bugs me a little bit, and I noticed that you are not in that camp, is for me, no-gi has become just leg locks. Everybody's just hitting leg locks, and you had submissions from all different positions in that tournament, which was pretty nice to see. Because for me, it gets boring after a while. Everyone just hooks up the legs and goes for it, and I understand it. It's so efficient and so available, but
I think the thing, like, this same trend that we see now with like leg locks coming out is the same trend you see in the gi too. It's just with different kind of techniques, right? So a few years back, I don't know if you remember, but the Berimbolo was like when it was a new thing, and the 50-50 guard was just a little before that. Mendez brothers kind of were there with it, and then when all those guys started doing that was a thing. So when you go to like the upper ranks, you don't see that as much.
Okay.
You see a lot of individualism in the games. Like, each guy is an athlete. You know what I mean? It's not like they changed what they do. It's where you see, like, the lower rank guys. You know what I'm saying? Or, like, the guys who are, like, the blues, purples. Not really the browns so much. But those guys kind of, like, a lot of them flock towards, like, what's the new hype thing.
What they're watching on YouTube.
Exactly. So, like, if you notice, like, Gordon Ryan and Gary and these guys, they were the guys who kind of ushered in the leg lock game into professional grappling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they dominated for a period of time. Not mostly, that's the wrong word, because they were very, very good, but a big reason was people were blind to leg locks.
Right, yeah.
And they were good at them. They were advanced. So John's system was advanced. It wasn't, any like bullshit that we saw at Naga's back in the day.
Right.
Their stuff was pretty good, So, it took the jiu-jitsu world some time to figure it out, but the high-level guys, I think, at least have a better understanding of it now and know what to look for.
Yeah.
And if you notice, you see like guys like Gordon not hitting as many leg locks. You know what I mean?
Right.
And even if it is still a big part of his game, which it is, but you see him going after a lot of different things.
Yeah.
You see him trying to attack the back. I see him attack to get to the back like more than I see him attack on the legs. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that shows how, like, at the upper level, those guys, you know what I mean? Like, we learn and adapt, and we try and, like, be unique and have our own kind of thing.
Just kind of ride that wave out every time a new technique comes in.
That's the thing. If you're watching, like, because now that these grappling events are the new big thing, they're coming out all over, and then they're pulling, which is cool because, it gives everybody a chance to get paid and everybody a chance to get noticed.
Right.
They can stream it online, and it's cool. First steps towards professional sports is similar to, like, surfing.
Sure, right,
There's a surfing contest in, Tahiti or something like this off an island. Nobody knows about it. It's just streamed online. Winner gets $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever.
It's pretty amazing.
That's awesome.
It's pretty amazing.
That's awesome, bro. Like, guys from the local beach who are good can get put in there. You know what I mean? You notice local talent, you make up a tournament.
Yeah.
So I think that's sweet. But then you're going to see a lot of guys who are following the trend. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like lower level guys. So I think people do see, like what you said. That's how you're noticing all these, like, leg lock hunters and things like that.
Yeah, it's and you don't see it as much in the gi as you do out of the gi, but it's and I had heard that from another black belt who was talking to me about that. And I haven't been in the sport long enough to see the waves come and go, but he said the exact same thing, that this is just what's going on now, and people start adapting to it. And
it's going to go away, and then something else is going to come out. An example of that was like the lapel.
Mm-hmm.
Keenan came out 2014, and he was doing lapel guard. Nobody's seen it before. Nobody's really noticed it before. You know what I mean? He was kind of like that. He engineered the whole thing. He was the inventor. Well, then it got to a point where, like, some guys are doing it really well and using it well, and then some guys are kind of like abolishing it a little bit. They're wrapping their leg in the lapel and not really doing anything from it.
Right, just stalling out.
Kind of holding out the fight, like, you know. That's the part that's, like, not cool. But before that, nobody had ever seen anything like that.
Yeah, it works well to slow shit down.
For sure. And if you can use whatever you can use to attack, like the way Keenan uses it is great.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to get your back, he's pulling you in for the arm lock, and all kinds of attacks. Got hundreds of attacks from there. But if you're just wrapping your leg in the lapel to, like, ride out the last 3 minutes of your fight, like,
comes down to who's the athletes, right? I mean, no matter what the technique is, you know, the better athletes are going to prevail. When I look at that and people are selling their systems online, it always comes back to that is, you know, what kind of athletes are we dealing with here, as opposed to guys like myself who are new to it, and they're better off learning the basics and getting really, really good at the basics before you start advancing to this other stuff.
For sure. You have to have a base of something to build off of,
right.
A foundation for a house, a building, whatever. That rings true, I think, with everything. You got to understand how to walk properly on the floor. You have to understand where you can grab somebody in the close guard and where you can't. You have to understand these things that you look back on, like guys at my level look back on and go like, man, why didn't I even think about that?
Right.
So, why would we do that? But you have to know those things before you can learn the system. You know what I'm saying? You can't learn the system if you don't have basics, if you don't know how to move.
One of the things I still love watching Rickson Gracie videos from back in the day, and someone had asked him, why he was so good at jiu-jitsu, and he said, look, all I did was the basics perfectly. I wasn't fancy, and if you watch his old Pride fights, they started with, bear hug against the ropes, drag him to the ground, hook the legs up, and nothing crazy. Nobody's getting inverted or
no. And times were different back then. You know what I mean? And if you see if somebody fights MMA, they're gonna fight very similar to how Rickson fought.
Right.
I don't know if you saw the last UFC, Rodolfo Vieira.
No, I didn't see that one.
He's a member of GF team. He's actually been here at the academy here that we're in right now and trained and lived here, and kind of a friend of mine as well. And he's helped me out a lot in jiu-jitsu. He's really helped me out and pushed me to another level when he was here. But if you see him do jiu-jitsu in MMA, it's very basic. There is no space to go inverted or do any kind of weird takedown kind of thing. You can get punched and kicked in the head here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
However you can get it to the ground safely is good, and then from there it just has to be strict basics. You know? There's a lot more on the line there, so.
Do you have any designs on MMA in the future?
Man, I don't know about the future, but I just don't look at MMA and have the passion for it that I do jiu-jitsu, so I haven't really been focusing on it, and that's not to say that I never will do it. I might do it one day and then really love doing it.
What is it about jiu-jitsu that you love so much in comparison? If you narrow it down, I mean, I know there's...
If I can narrow down, it's really hard for me to put it into words, what jiu-jitsu means or what jiu-jitsu is, because it's so much. It's so huge, you know what I mean? And it's asking somebody, how do you feel about your son, like a dad? Or how do you feel about your wife, who's the love of your life, or something like this? It's hard to really sit down and say it, But jiu-jitsu is really the only thing that I do where I'm at absolute peace and happiness, no matter what. No matter what. I could have the worst day ever. I could go through all kinds of shit outside of here and be in a really bad spot. And even inside the gym, I'm going to be in a bad spot. But when I start to move around and I start to train, I just enter that zone that I can never enter anywhere else. You know what I mean? So
I get it. We were talking before the podcast where I had talked to my buddy who got me involved in it, and I went, all right, well, I'll give this a try, and did it 1 day a week, and 3 months later I'm going 4 days a week, 3 days a week, and it's just, and I can't figure out what I love so much about it. But when you're in the gym and you're rolling, it's great, man. Win or lose, and you're just having fun, and you're trying to figure out these complex problems, and you hit that move that you've been drilling and drilling and drilling, and all of a sudden you just hit it, and it all starts to make sense, and you feel smarter every time you walk out of the gym, which is amazing to me.
It's so like, it just, it's in your mind so much, and you think about it so much, and then when you're asked to put it into words, you can't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh no.
You could
100%.
be anywhere else. Like, you could be driving home from here, and you could be just sitting there thinking about like something you did yesterday.
Yeah.
I remember last night or 2 nights ago, we got home from somewhere. I was outside, out back of the house, and my friend came out to ask me a question. I said, "Hey, come here really quick." And he goes, "What?" I said, "Like, try and collar tie me." Like we were wrestling. I said, like, dude, I saw this thing on YouTube today when I was like, when I was sitting down relaxing, I saw this at the gym, bro. Watch this. It was like 11 at night. You know what I mean? That's just how much it's like in my mind, or it's there, grappling, submission wrestling, jiu-jitsu, all that kind of stuff, So
when we talked about, I was a Highland Games athlete before, so I used to be in my head with technique constantly, shot put and hammer, trying to figure these things out. And now I find myself 11 o'clock at night laying in bed and thinking about, oh shit, I could have done that, and that's how that works. And the art, it's art and technique, and
for sure,
just it keeps your brain working constantly. And I shouldn't talk so great about it because I kind of want it to be my thing. I don't want anybody else involved. I just want to go in there. I'd rather just be like a private lesson, just teach me. But you got to share it with everybody, I guess. So.
For sure. That's why, like, sometimes you never. Sometimes people don't understand. You know what I mean? Like, well, if this is your life and it's your career, why don't you talk about it a lot?
Yeah.
Because sometimes I won't. If somebody says like, "Did you wrestle?" Sometimes I might just say, "Yeah, I wrestled," without telling them that I do jiu-jitsu specifically, because it's hard for me to really like explain it to you the way I want to explain it to you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's hard for me to say like, "No, that's not karate. That's blah 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 blah." Oh, okay, it's similar to like what your brother does, but it's like this. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's almost like painful for me to go through that because of how much jiu-jitsu means to me. So sometimes if I don't talk about it or I'm not wearing it all over, it's just because it means so much to me that I don't want it diminished in any other way. So
I get that 100%.
I understand kind of what you're saying. And that's not me being selfish, because if you want to learn jiu-jitsu and you want to train with me, 1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%. Anybody can come here and train with me. You know what I mean? On the mat when I train, and anybody who wants to learn from me, man, I answer all questions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I used to fly in airports all the time, and people would ask me where I was going, and after about the 100th time of trying to explain what Highland Games was to people, I would just make stories up.
Exactly.
I used to tell people I was a writer on the Drew Carey show. Just anything,
just leave me alone.
Just leave me alone,
because it means so much to you. And you don't want to sit there and not that everybody does, and I understand that not everybody knows what the Highland Games are, what jiu-jitsu is,
right?
Whatever. But you don't want to sit there and be like, man, this is ignorant. All this, how much this means to me. It's like,
and you don't know anything about it.
It's offensive to me. Yeah, like you're like, oh, that's cool. Like you start to be like, this guy's judging me right now, or something like that. Like,
because everybody always thinks it's karate.
Exactly. What is that like? If somebody says, "Did you wrestle before?" You go, "Yeah." Okay, where'd you wrestle at? I don't know, high school.
They see
high school.
They see the cauliflower ears, I guarantee, and they're all over.
I went to high school in Canada. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and that's probably it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do they? Is wrestling a thing up there? Do they have wrestling in the high schools?
Yeah, we definitely have wrestling in the high school. The wrestling's not like that, like super bad, but just where I grew up, it was really hard to find, man.
Yeah.
Because like where I was, were a lot of counties. So like around the Toledo area, once you get out past Sylvania, like out west, start hitting like Swanton, Defiance, all this. Okay, well you got like little like counties, and on the county roads there. And they have like 800 people in some like, parts of whatever county. Well, I was one of those. I had 3,000 people in my town, and then we were just surrounded by like slightly bigger little towns until you got to Windsor. So there wasn't really a lot of wrestling there unless I went somewhere in Windsor or like other towns like outside of where I was. But by the time I got to high school, I was already doing jiu-jitsu like so heavily. Yeah, they didn't really have time to commute, 15 or 20 miles further to a school and then wrestle, and then
Sure.
come time have time to go jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean?
And what was the deciding factor to come down here?
So
you just kind of outgrow the school, or
it was kind of like I was at kind of a crossroads of like what to do. Kelly Highmore, who I said, my sponsor and the guy who really helped me out a lot. Sometimes you run into like a crossroads, you don't know where to go, what to do. I was prepared to pack up and go wherever because I made the decision that jiu-jitsu was going to be my career already, and that's what it was going to be. I wasn't going to quit something at 19 years old or 18, 19 years old because I ran into a problem.
Right.
Or 20 years old. I think I was 20 years old by then when I just turned 20. So Kelly opened up the doors and said, like, hey, you're welcome to come here and be with me in Toledo. And we kind of got on the same page about some things. He was always great support, and like I say, man, like I owe that guy everything.
Yeah.
So it's been great, and just down the line, things just kind of snowballed from there. So it was just myself here in the beginning, and then Gutenberg Pereira came in. We met at a training camp in Florida. He came down here, really enjoyed it, was on board with the idea, just wanted to have a great jiu-jitsu team here, and that's what we're doing. That's what we're creating. We have multiple guys who are, myself and Gutenberg included, we're here. We're just like training together and just helping each other. There's no like coach or really anything overseeing us. We're just kind of here training. We're a big family and
getting after it.
Yeah, world titles and guys who are competing on the world stage. Gutenberg the belts are over there. It was Fight to Win champ. He's headlined multiple cards, and he's like the big professional gi fighter, and I guess I'm like the professional no gi fighter, and then we all compete at IBJJF Worlds Gi and no gi all through that circuit. So we kind of like, we're headlining cards all over, man. We're out there, and we're doing it from Toledo, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, when I was following you on Instagram before I realized you were here, and then I think you posted something where it said Toledo, Ohio, and I'm like, what the fuck? This guy's just right down the road from me, So, the training camp, the training group, is so important, where you get guys, no matter what the athletic activity is, if you get other guys that you don't want to lose to, or that they're also supporting you, and you're looking up to them, and you're learning things from each other, and that's so important.
Yeah, that's what the thing is. The thing is about the mindset about your training when you have that, because we don't have a huge team. If you were to go to Atos, they have a team with like 10 times the size of what we have of the competition team. We just have like mainly like 6 guys here, like, and depending on the time of year, like maybe no more than 10. And we have each other. You just have to really focus on the right kind of guys. Do I feel that that's a problem? For us, absolutely not. And like you brought up, when you came in here, you brought up Westside. And that's the whole thing about Westside. Westside's not a pretty gym. Westside's not a huge gym. And back in the day, if anybody out there watched, Westside versus the World, there's like fucking 3 guys in that gym that were like real competitors back in the day. You know what I mean? They were like the big dogs. I'm sure there were a lot of guys that were like, out of the, maybe 100 guys that went in and out of that gym, there was probably like every single guy in there competed or did something, but there's only really 3 dudes that could push each other. I don't think anybody was going to come in there and squat with Chuck. And he was the man of these low-level guys. So the thing is your atmosphere and your environment. Yeah,
I'm 100% a believer in that. I was just down at University of Ashland yesterday talking to Judd Logan, he's a 4-time Olympian, has had multiple All-Americans, and 2 different environments totally. So Judd's program is all about positivity and everybody coming along and helping each other and pushing each other along. And then Westside is so cutthroat down there. So it's 2 different training environments where they kind of take on whoever's leading the troop, and two different vibes totally. And I was lucky enough to bounce back and forth and get to see both of them. And but it's all environment. It doesn't really matter what they're putting. I'm a firm believer. As much as my entire Highland Games career, I trained conjugate. That's all I did. But and I did really well. But I think I could have trained a bunch of different ways. Those guys aren't that good just because they train kanji. They are that good because they're trying to kill each other every day.
That's the thing. They'll give you all the shit that they do. They'll write it down.
Oh yeah,
if
absolutely.
Anybody follows it on Instagram, you can see exactly the breakdown of band tension, chain, rep scheme, everything.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine, Dan Jones, who I train with here, he's a big guy in the conjugate method. He's been around in the game since like the 80s.
Yeah.
You know how much shit he's seen
Sure.
from Louis between, VHS tapes and articles and magazines, stuff like that. It's all there, Pretty much every workout they do, you can find it online somewhere.
And Louis is very open about talking about it. He's not hiding anything.
But you can't duplicate what they do.
No.
You can't squat as much as them, or you can't achieve the kind of success and growth they do in athletes as you could on your own.
Right. Yeah. It's all about that personality.
Just something there that's different that can be bought, can't be researched.
Yeah.
You can't find it out.
Have you've been down there a bunch, or
never been down
you've never
there.
been down? You got to. He loves fighters too,
Never been
man.
down there. Everybody all the time. So Burley Hawk is the guy who's there now.
Yeah.
He lifts raw.
Yeah, I've watched him. Yeah.
He's that thing. So, he does an 800-pound good morning or something like that. You know what I mean? And he's got just wild numbers, man. And he's a guy who can compete for a total all time probably.
Right.
If he gets shit right. So, he's the guy who does my programming, and we work together.
Oh, okay.
Idea about conjugate for grapplers and stuff like that. And I think it's kind of gotten a little popular. I get more messages and people want to talk about this more than jiu-jitsu, man.
Yeah.
This is it's unique, it's different, it's kind of what I like. And I spent a long time like you figuring out what worked for me. You know what I mean? So I needed something to get stronger and not just be so blown out and sore that I couldn't do my sport the next day.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I like to deadlift this much, I like to squat that much, but I really don't give a shit when it comes, because I want to be a better jiu-jitsu athlete, and I want to just be stronger for jiu-jitsu. It
was great for me because you had the 2 max effort days, and then you had the 2 speed days, which when I was in season, they almost became they were really fast, and then I would go out and throw, but it was all speed oriented, whether I was throwing or lifting. So you can warp it any way you want.
You can
to fit what you need. But I think it's interesting because there's not that many guys out there who are posting their weight training like you are. They're posting some stuff where they're pulling against bands or throwing kettlebells around, and I don't know how many guys actually train in that style that are out, that are really out there.
I think everybody, as much as they don't want to admit it, uses principles of it.
They're so ingrained in everything now.
Even if you don't do I'm conjugate method because Burley Hawk, who writes my programs and I work with, he's a guy, he trains at the West Side. He's a power lifter, so that's as conjugate as you're going to get.
Yeah.
Is it the workout that he's doing? Probably not, because I'm not trying to squat that much. That's not what I'm tuned for. I'm trying to be better at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And understanding that conjugate's one of the best forms of training to do weight-wise for jiu-jitsu, I feel.
Right.
But you can just shape any kind of program out there. There's millions of different ones, but conjugate has a little bit to do with all of that. Everybody's doing something where they're working up to a max.
Yep.
Whether it's 2 reps or 3 reps, they're doing something where for lack of a better term, they're putting their head through the wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're going balls to the wall. So that's conjugate method, man.
It's everywhere. It's so deep into at least the systems here in the United States that everyone, whether they want to admit it or not, is using his principles and his sweat and tears that he put into their systems. And a lot of people are stubborn and just saying they're not, but they are.
I mean, and then people where did this stuff come from? So a lot of people don't know. This is a lot of things that came from all over the place.
Yeah.
German. There was a thing called German volume training back in the day.
Yeah, it was a Poliquin thing. Yeah.
10 sets of 10.
Yep.
10 sets of 5, and you would just be so sore and blown out. It was just to fuck your nervous system up. You're doing sets of 2 and 3, and now you're just gonna destroy yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then accommodating resistance and things like that. Well, Louis just kind of branched off of those things.
Yeah.
all that stuff was already there. There was already, like, Kasansky was already writing articles and books and things on muscle units produced, max effort, dynamic effort. These were things that he was talking about back in the day, you know. Basically, Louis was just smart enough to kind of, like, listen and learn and
he morphed it towards powerlifting. People don't understand that this was for other athletes other than powerlifting.
The guys who used it first were Olympic weightlifters.
Yeah.
They were using a lot of this stuff. And that's where, in, like, Eastern Bloc countries, that was huge. And that was huge since the 40s.
Yeah.
You know, you were going to the Olympics. You weren't going to the Olympics for doing squat, bench, and deadlift.
Right.
That came out, like, once shit got to America. That's when...
Yeah, I went and saw Boris Shako talk one time, and he said that Louis had it about 90% right. He was a coach of the junior team there for Olympic weightlifters for a long time. So
he's still a lot of people don't know him, I'm sure, like, nowadays, but he's like the man.
Yeah,
he's like the man. He's like the encyclopedia of weight training for any sport that has to deal with, like, any kind of explosive power. He probably knows more about training somebody than almost anybody on the planet.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's nice that these guys are still around and the information can get out there, especially now that they've kind of merged with this social media age. And Louis looks like he's finally got somebody up there doing his social media for him, because for a long time that stuff wasn't out there. But it's really cool. Where do you do your weightlifting here?
So honestly, I live in my garage.
Dude, that's the best place, man.
Honestly, because, like, it's just tough to... long days, long days training, long days doing everything else. So sometimes you just want to be somewhere where you can spill something on the floor. You can do whatever. You don't need to wait for anything either. Yeah. You don't need to see anything else. You can just lock up and go. Kelly a lot of times comes in, lifts with me. Some of the guys here lift with me sometimes when I'm in there. So it's cool. Almost my whole career I spent in a 20 by 20 garage with no heat, no AC, just grinding. It's similar to what I have, man.
Just Spartan,
That's it, man. That's it. Nothing needs to be fancy, man. It's just, to talk about, like, how long these theories of West Side have been around. You know how long lifting and working out's been around? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you don't need a whole lot of shit compared to what you had back in the day, man. You guys have been doing this forever.
Yeah. I own a gym, and it's 6,600 square feet, so it's huge, but it's very Spartan. We've got a lot of Atlas stones and tires and kettlebells and shit, but there's, very few machines, and the ones I have I'd like to get rid of,
But you have a lot of people, you know what I mean? Yeah. The garage is like, there's not a lot of people out in here, you know what I mean? Like, there's only, like, you get 4 guys in there working out. That's pretty good. You might bump into each other once in a while, but so what, you know what I mean?
Well, it's and you coming into this gym as well. There's no bullshit. Yeah. There's nothing you don't need in here. Exactly. You got the mats and a bench. It's just
that's it, man.
Perfect.
That's what, man. The world's changing, but you can't lose sight of what you came from. Right. You can't lose sight of where it came from. You know what I mean? So, Jiu Jitsu is a martial art. You know what I mean? There has to be something about it that makes it a martial arts gym, There's a plan to move to a bigger location than here and potentially have 2 mat spaces bigger than the one we have now. But they're still going to have the same kind of atmosphere. It's still a jiu-jitsu gym. You know what I mean? It's still where you come to learn a martial art, and the martial arts jiu-jitsu. So.
Yeah, and you want to avoid the whole Starbucksing of the sport, and making it pretty. I see these videos, Flow Grappling will post something about these gyms in Rio that are producing these incredible athletes, and they're in these shitty warehouse gyms that are 150 degrees in there.
That's it, man. That's the thing. It comes right back to it. It's the environment. It's the atmosphere, man. It's the kind of people that you have. You got the best gym in the world. You got shit energy going on in the gym. There's not a bad vibe there, and you're not the right people, not just talented people, but they're not the right people. You're not going to have champions. You're not going to be
coming
successful.
in here to learn how to fight. I don't want ferns in the lobby when I walk in.
Yeah, some of that stuff, man. You can have a beautiful gym and you can put a lot of money into it, and you can still make the gym right. I mean, there's gyms out there like Atos and things like that are beautiful to look at, and they're producing some of the best guys in the world. You know what I mean? Then on the other end of the spectrum, you have gyms in like, you know, like you said, Rio and Cicero Costa was a gym that was producing like so many guys for a while, and they still produce quite a few. There was mats in a living room of a house.
Wow,
you know what I mean? So it just shows right people, right environment, man.
Yeah,
you can do big things.
Training partners and
that's it.
And instructors. And are you teaching classes here too?
So no, I teach seminars, teach privates, I teach all kinds of stuff like that. Yeah. For sure.
That's cool, yeah. I was watching your videos today, and the balance is what struck me the most. How you ride people, how you're always in the perfect position. I don't imagine you get swept very often.
I try not to.
You just look like you're always stable and always in that perfect spot.
I try not to.
Is it something you're consciously thinking of, or is it just your normal balance that you have when you're doing that?
No, so like when you train for competition jiu-jitsu, you have to train a little bit differently than somebody else would when you get up to a higher level, of course. So you never really want to give points. In order not to give points, you have to like scramble and get out of positions because sometimes the just basic techniques are just going to get you stuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to like defend a single leg and bounce around on your foot with your leg up over your head, or stay like somewhere that's like not comfortable. You have to stay there because you can't get scored on because you'll lose or it'll put you behind or whatever. So that's where I think it came from. We train specific for that here.
It's super noticeable, especially. I was watching your highlight from the Bigfoot, and I don't know how much trouble you ran into in that whole tournament, but you were so in control of every guy you had for that whole tournament. It was just amazing to me. You were tight, you were in position, you were balanced, the whole thing, and forget about the submissions. Just being totally in control of every guy you faced that whole tournament was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I felt. I mean, thinking back on the tournament, I felt pretty good, and then. That was actually like my fourth no-gi tournament.
Really?
Weekend in a row, yeah.
Wow.
I fought like 4 weekends in a row that weekend. I fought Pan Ams in the gi. Then I fought King of the Mat tournament in Ohio. Then I fought Edwin at Kasai. And then I fought Bigfoot.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was pretty wild.
I guess you got to go where the money is, though, too,
I mean? And I just like to compete. I love competing,
Yep.
And then professional tournaments with money is another thing that draws, but it's more so like there's just so many opportunities to do these kind of professional events now.
They seem to be popping
up
everywhere.
So you can be as busy as you want or as chill as you want and just wait to pick the right fights. Like now it's starting to become like we're professional athletes now.
Yeah, you absolutely are. I considered myself a professional athlete. We got paid, if you won a competition, you may get a couple $1,000s, which, but you could compete every weekend if you wanted, What do you do besides jiu-jitsu? I mean, are you just singularly focused, or is there other hobbies and interests besides that?
I love what I do, so this isn't.
It's not work.
It's not really like I gotta go train or I gotta show up to the gym. I gotta teach class. I gotta do whatever. It's never like to me. You might be tired. You might be beat up. Honestly, not every day you're gonna like feel like you want to train.
Right.
Some days you're just gonna be fucked up. You're gonna need to have a conversation with yourself to go.
Yeah.
But as long as you show up and you keep doing it, you get through that part.
People ask me that same question a lot, and it's what I do. It's what I've always done. It's not work.
Honestly, man, that's it. And people always think that you need, like, the days when I say, like, oh, you're super tired, you don't want to train, like, you need motivation. You don't really need motivation. You just need to, like, say, let's go and go.
Yep.
You just need to show up, man.
Yeah, if you're waiting for someone to externally motivate you to get in shape or get better,
you're doing it for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
It's wrong.
Yeah.
Just go back to the beginning and try again.
Yeah,
because
find something else.
This shit is not... I mean, there's no YouTube video that's going to sit there and make me feel any differently about jiu-jitsu.
Right.
You know what I mean? I have to experience something, feel something. So I'm not gonna lie, there's some days you're super sore, you're injured, you're banged up, that you're like, man, this is so hard to get out of bed. Like, I just feel like one more hour, I just push training back. You just have to be like, no, fuck it, I'm getting up, I'm going to train, because that's what I always do. You know, until you don't have a question anymore, until that's what it is. You punch the clock and you go.
Yeah, I started off in February and then spent 2.5 months with a torn hamstring, which sucked, man, because you can beat these guys, but you're babying this thing and you're fighting from positions that don't hurt, and now that I feel good again, everything changes. Oh shit, I can pass guard now. It's fun, and but even when I was hurt, it wasn't. No one had to say, "Hey, you got to come to the gym. You need to be at the gym." You just go. You just go every day and make it a part of your life.
Man. No matter what, you can always do something.
Yeah,
you can always do something, even if like your hamstring's torn and you can't. Like, I can't move my right arm or my left hamstring that's torn. It's gonna hurt. We'll sit down on the bench. Hold a stress ball in your hand. Yeah. Or just watch the fucking training and take notes and talk about training after.
Yep.
Get better somehow. Every day you just have to get a little better somehow.
I learned to fight off my back. I didn't.
Exactly.
I learned to pull guard. That wasn't me. I was a bull. I just wanted to pass guard and get the side control. Right. So I had to learn. It was probably the best thing that happened to me because I was forced to fight off my back. That's not a position I end up in often, but now I find myself, even when I'm healthy, I'm going to pull half guard here and see what happens. And
it might have been a blessing in disguise.
That's the way I look at it. That's what I look at it. Any advice for people new to the sport coming in? I mean, wanting to try it.
Man, you come in and you want to try it, just really, really, just give it a real chance. You know what I mean? That's not to mean 90% of people that come in this gym and try it out love it the first time they do it.
Yeah, I did.
But you're going to get frustrated, just like you're going to get frustrated with any sport, and this is different than a lot of things people have done before, so it's quick to say, like, oh, it's not for me, or it's whatever. But everybody's been through these things, and I, to this day, go through times where I'm like, I suck. I'm not getting better. I'm not meeting my standard almost, right? Or what I feel that I need. I'm not even close. Today I feel like I'm taking steps backwards. So you can never be frustrated by that. You can't. This stuff always has to be fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It always has to be fun. No matter how frustrating and how hard it is, you always have to have fun doing it. So
it's not life. Well, I mean, for 99% of us, this is an activity we're doing. It's not a profession.
That's exactly it.
And there's some days I walk out of that gym feeling like I'm invincible. I tapped everybody. It was a great day. And there's some days I walk out of there and just feel like I fucking suck worse than I've ever sucked in my life.
Hammer the nail, man. Yeah. It's the same theory.
But you always want to come back.
It's exactly. But if you want to come back, if you just say, like, you don't have a question of if you want to come back or not.
No.
This is absolutely for you. This is 100% the thing for you to do. Because, like, if you just go and do something and get shit on and just made feel like shit and you show up and do it the next day, either you're really building discipline and dedication by showing up like we just talked about, or you love it.
Yeah.
And you're dying to get better, you know what I mean? So either way, you're going to build up like a tolerance for this kind of thing that's happened for one, and you're going to like take steps forward.
And it's such a weird activity because, as men, you better have the mental state where I don't want to get dominated by this other guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's what it is. Yeah, you're simulating murder on another human being. And when you tap out, it's just there, being nice to let you go, Mm-hmm. And it's such an odd activity. The first class I went to was a 7 p.m. meat grinder, and it was filled with all these blue belts and purple belts in our gym. And that's the evening class. So first day I went in, and I always talk about blue belts, especially the blue belts in my gym are like baby rattlesnakes. And when you get bit by a rattlesnake, they say it's better to get bitten by an older one because they just give you enough venom to hurt you. The baby ones just release all their venom into you and fucking kill you.
Try to kill you.
So the first day I walked in, these blue belts are yoking me up. I'm in Ezekiel chokes, I'm mouth bleeding, and all this shit. But I grabbed my bag and came back the next morning. 7 a.m. I was in the next class.
That's
It was just
awesome,
the
man.
best. And I don't know. Like you said, it's hard to explain why it's so awesome and why you love it so much.
But you couldn't explain. I don't think you could explain how much you love was something that means so much to you in your life.
Yeah, like why your
Like,
family
you probably couldn't explain to me you could explain to me reasons why you love it,
right?
But that's just shit on the outside.
Yeah,
because okay, what do I respect about my dad? I respect his honor. I respect his loyalty. I respect his intensity. I respect his love. But that's just shit I respect from everybody. If I met somebody off the street and met him, I could say, hey, I really like that guy's personality.
Right.
He's a cool guy. He was a really nice guy. I can't explain to you what that means to me, what family would mean to you, or explain what's the love that you feel.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It would take some real time of me sitting here being I gotta process some feelings in my head right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the same thing with jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Man, I couldn't agree with you more. That's exactly the way I feel about it. And so what's up next? What's the next tournament for you?
So I have a super fight to win pro.
Where's this at?
August 30th, Sacramento, California.
Okay.
Against Gabriel Arges. Gabriel Arges a super good guy in jiu-jitsu, three-time black belt world champion. So it's going to be a good fight. It's no gi. I think it's going to be one that's exciting, man. I always try and make them exciting.
I always I'm gonna have to hook up with Flow Grappling. I'm always fuck, I don't want to pay for Flow Grappling, but I always want to watch these matches.
You get your money's worth, man. They post good stuff.
They do.
You can rewatch everything, and
their podcast is real good too.
Yeah, I think everything they do is good, man. I think they're really good for the sport.
Yeah.
Some people don't like the drama. Some people don't like this or that. No one's going to be happy all the time.
No, right.
At the same time, we need something. We're a sport.
Yeah.
What happens if a guy in wrestling or even wrestling does some shit? People post about it. People talk shit about it. You know. Look what happens when guys in the NFL, NBA, MLB get.
Yeah, you're not going to hide it in this day and age.
There. People want that.
Yeah.
People report on that. If people are reporting on us and talking about good news and bad news, that's what makes the sport.
And
more
there's
popular.
way more good news than there is bad news.
Come on, man. Yeah, they say good things about everybody, and they put the spotlight on. They put the spotlight on a lot of dudes, man.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of guys who are on Flow Grappling, have a lot of videos and things about them that aren't the upper 1 percentile of competitors.
Right.
And that's not anything bad to say about them. That's just to show, how much Flow Grappling's caring and posting about.
There's more athletes out there than Bushesha, they hit him too,
they're shown. And
they're
shown, man, for sure. From blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, everybody at every level is shown. So nobody can really say anything. People can act like, oh, you guys really don't like me, or you guys don't post about me a lot, but whatever, man. I'm on Flow Grappling all over. I've never once asked or begged somebody hey, put me on there. Or
they've got their finger on the pulse. They know who's doing what.
If they didn't do a video about me, I wouldn't be upset or butthurt because I'm here doing what I want to do. I'm taking care of my job.
Yeah.
And if you guys want to come in and capture that or want to do these interviews, I'm honored to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing. I think that's why we've had a good relationship. Is because I've just been that guy.
Yeah.
I don't really give a fuck about good or bad from the other end. It's about doing what I do and setting a good example for people out there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And they're so important for the sport. Like I said, the podcast is great. The video blogs, what do you call them? Vlogs are great. And I just need to not be a cheap fucker and order it. It's not expensive at all.
That's right, man.
But that's cool. Hey, I want to thank you for having us out. I want to do it again sometime. I got to have you out to the gym one of these days. You'll check it out.
Hey, for those who don't know, we live pretty close to each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things have just been wild busy. So
I
appreciate you coming out here. But
no problem.
In the future, for sure, man, I'd love to return the favor and come out your way, man.
And we'll get a private. I'll pay for a private and teach you some shit.
Whenever. I'd be more than happy to.
All right. Yeah, this has been Dante Leon. This has been the Refined Savage. See ya.